Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening everyone, and welcome to today's project management interview preparation webinar. We genuinely appreciate your valuable time and your interest in our webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. I can see that around 20 plus participants have joined yet. We are expected to join more participants, but let's start now due to some time limitation. So let me quickly introduce myself and my company. I am Harshad from Knowlathon IT Services. Knowlathon is one of the premium training and certification providing organization in India, headquarters in Pune and established in 2012. Knowlathon is only premium partner in this region. We are aggregated partners of PMI, ISACA, Exim, TUV and others. So that's bit about Knowlathon. In this webinar, you will understand the process of project management interview, and I'm sure you will get more clarity about the project management interview questions and answers. So are you guys really excited today? Just type in the chat, excited. So before we dive in, let me introduce you to our today's esteemed speaker, Mr. Mahesh sir. He brings you 28 in IT service and product industry experience in banking, finance, insurance industry across USA, UK, Singapore, Malaysia, KSA and India. With over 20 plus year of hands-on experience with MS Project Professional and online with server configuration and administration, he is also a passionate trainer, mentor for IT project management. Also, he has authorized two acclaimed books aimed at preparing candidates for the Prince 2 certification and examination. We understand that your time is valuable and we truly appreciate you being here today. So if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat feature and we will address those at the end of the presentation. Now, without any delay, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Mahesh sir to kick off today's session. Welcome, Mr. Mahesh sir.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. Thank you, Arshad. Good evening, everyone, or whatever, wherever you are. So greetings and thanks for joining the session. Harshad, I won't be able to see the chat box, so please help me with that.
Yes,
And yes, sure. So one quick question before I delve deep into this into today's subject. If you could write your years of experience in the project management space, that will be great. Just mention the number in the chat box. I just want to get or feel the pulse and how uh, uh, different experienced participants we have today, so that I can set the context accordingly for everyone. So just mention your number of years of experience as into project management space. Harshad, if you could please just give me the gist of the numbers.
yes, sir. 11 years, 7 years, 3 years,
Okay, fantastic.
total 15 years.
Okay, that's good. That's great. Okay, fair enough. So let's come to today's subject, today's agenda. We'll talk about some roles and responsibilities in the project management space. Now, this could be IT as well as non-IT also. Then we'll look into the market view. How is the market currently? It looks like uh, what kind of geographies are demanding more of the project management skills? What kind of package ranges across different countries? So we'll have a quick overview about that. Then I'll be talking about some professional certifications which are very uh, famous or which are very much popular. There are many takers for this certification, so I'll take you through those, and then we will go to our the main subject of today's. How do we prepare for the interview into project management? Now, there are questions which could be asked for freshers. There are questions which would be asked for very senior people, like 10 plus years of experience in the project management space, right? So we'll go through those questions, and then I request your participation. Share any of your experiences. Bring any of specific questions that uh, you may have faced, or generally you ask if you are in the position of conducting the interviews. So we'll keep it interactive from that point onwards, right? And of course, your experiences and they are equally important, right? So shall we start? Just say yes in the chat box, or if you have any query, please you can put it there. Okay. So let me start. So there are certain roles in the governance. So if you look at it in the project management space, there are three levels of the hierarchies in the organization. There's a top layer with the governance and directing responsibilities. Then there is a middle layer, which is more from the day-to-day execution perspective. Not only execution, it will include everything like your project tracking, monitoring, reporting, project planning. Uh, so that's the middle layer. And then there is a layer for the project management support also. Right? Uh, Based on the industry, the organization, the kind of the projects environment prevailing in the organization. Of course, these roles may shift a little bit up or down between the management execution layer and the support layer. Your governance layer remains the same, so it would be project sponsor, of course, those who will be uh, approving or giving the budgets, especially the cost budgets, especially the money for that. Then there is a role of a project director. This person is, of course, this is a very senior role in the industry, which will uh, which will manage, or rather which will guide, which will direct, which will consult many projects at a given point of time. Mostly you can see this role sitting in the PMO as well, possibly, or this could be a separately carved out role wherein the person uh, runs, as I said, multiple projects. And then there could be the separate PMO director role also. So again, there are various levels of PMOs depending on uh, what their authority is. There are PMOs who are even at the directive level. So the entire PMO is at a level wherein it gives the direction for the entire organization. What kind of projects, how those should be executed, what kind of processes, compliance requirements, etc. So that is a complete directive kind of a PMO. There are tactical PMOs also, and then there are very operational or the support role based PMOs, which will help during the day-to-day execution of the projects. But then to run this PMO function itself, there is a role called as a PMO director. So who will again be in the governance or a directing or a decision-making role for the PMOs. And then there is a project executive. This person will generally be giving the oversight, giving the governance for the large projects. Right? Uh, Again, there can be some overlap between the project director and project executive role also. So if I look at the responsibilities, the common responsibilities of these project governance roles, of course, providing the sponsorship, providing the governance and decision makers for the project, and they hold the accountability for the project success. That is one of the very key responsibilities, very key expectations from any of these governance roles. Then project manager is everybody knows, everybody either aspires or they are playing the role of a project manager, or senior project manager also. So based on the number of years, and again based on the hierarchy levels, bands and grades as per the HR policies within the organization, there could be different variants of this role, right? of the project manager. Now, project manager is a role which is completely responsible for day-to-day execution of the project. Correct? So, and then there is a project lead role. Now, in some organizations, of course, in my experience, I've seen in some organizations, uh, these role, they swap with or between each other in the terms of the seniority. So sometimes, though the title is a project lead, the person could be playing a role of a team lead, or and the project manager will be senior, or the project lead, as in the sense of a leadership. That role will be called as a project lead, and then the project manager will be reporting into that position of that role. But then these are both of these, they are the key roles from the day-to-day execution and management of the project perspective. And then there are again different variants for these roles also. So somebody who will be coordinating or facilitating the project activities could be the project coordinator. There are specific resource managers who will take care of the human resources as well as the non-human resources for the project. Okay, any demand and capacity management for the project, any inventory management for the project. So, it could be the project which has got a very different kind of resources involved in it, material resources, machine resources. So, this resource manager could be that person who again will work very closely with your vendor and supplier management teams, your procurement teams as well. Then many a times either internal or external capacity based role of project management consultant is again a very prevalent role in the market. Okay. Now what this person will do, or what this role will do, is they will be providing the consultants. Like, there's a very thin line difference between advisory and consultancy. A consultant, though the consultant can be an external role, the consultant is expected to provide a very hands-on solutions, or giving the very hands-on approaches, while advisory is more at a larger picture level or at a senior level. So there can be the project management consultant. Then there is a project officer. Now, again, this uh, project coordinator and project officer, they can be at a almost similar levels of responsibilities, or even sometimes the project officer can be the combination of your project coordinator and resource manager, right? But then there is a very specifically carved out role as a scheduling expert. Now, this particular role, I would say I have seen this very prominently in manufacturing industry, right? Let's say construction industry, manufacturing industry, wherein there are multiple activities which are dependent on multiple external stakeholders, maybe your suppliers, maybe a very close working with local government, or regulatory bodies, wherein the time is the most crucial factor for the success of the project. And at that point of time, this scheduling expert uh, you know, will come into picture uh, to guide and to manage the entire schedules of all these different stakeholders, internal or external. And then there is a project management specialist also. Now, again, this role, I would say, goes almost in the lines of the management consultant, but being a specialist, this will be a deep focused or a deep experience in one of the areas. So, for example, it could be construction industry, but even in that industry, it could be commercial constructions. Now, when I say commercial constructions, there could be different variants in that, like say some assembly units or some manufacturing units construction, or there could be some office space constructions also. So this project management specialist could be a person who will be coming up with a lot of experience in one of the particular sectors or industries. Right? So there are multiple roles, multiple opportunities available. And of course, as per the organizations, they may uh, they may term these or title these roles differently, but their responsibilities would more or less remain the same, like day-to-day management of project activities, human, non-human resource management, stakeholder management, then delivery of schedules, then advisory, consulting, uh, balancing the time, cost, quality constraints. So their activities would focus mainly on the planning, execution, reporting, monitoring, and tracking. Right. And then there is a support function. Project management support roles are also there. Let's say the project risk manager. So this role will demand a lot of risk management experience. And again, for specific sectors, this could be the very well uh, carved out roles, like say for example in the space of capital markets. I have few of my friends who work in that space of capital markets, and they are the risk managers. Okay. In case of insurance industry, the actuarial people or your underwriters. So when they get to a little senior level, when let's say when they cross their 12 years, 15 years of experience in that one particular function, they automatically get into these specialized roles, which always be there to support the success of the project. So a change control manager, of course, again, there can be the technical change control or there can be the functional change control specializations, which you will find there. And then the project analyst. Now, project analyst could be, you know, in comparison of all these other roles, the project analyst could be a junior person, but then this person comes with a lot of analytical skills, a lot of data management skills, inferences skills. So the main responsibility will be to to collect the data about the projects, to analyze it, to help the governance and management team to take the well-informed decisions. Right? So these are some of the roles and responsibilities. Now, uh, one question to all of you: if you happen to play any of these roles or a matching role, I would request you to put your title in the chat box. That would really help us to correlate and go to the specific aspects of these roles and as we talk ahead. So just mention your title, which could be any of these or something related to this. Harshad, if you could read out the title for me, if they're dropping it in the chat box. Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thanks for confirming. So anyone who plays any of these titles or uh, you know they may have a different title, but the responsibilities are similar on these lines. See anything in the chat box. Okay, 4 years project analyst, great. Technical program manager, project delivery manager. Yes, so project delivery manager, delivery head also. It's again a very uh, well-known name there, or the title name there. Then DBA role, but I do project coordination. Fantastic. So there is a project coordination, execution, project lead, project manager. Absolutely fantastic. So you are the Scrum Master. Great, Abhishek. This is this is something which is coming up, or rather, I would say not coming up, but then yes, this is there in the market for a few years now, which is being adopted beyond the IT industry also, beyond the software industry also. Right? The Scrum Master. Uh, Recently, again, I've been talking with some of the manufacturing people who are exploring how they can become agile in their manufacturing processes also. So that sector, which is like non-IT, but they want to go agile because they also face these challenges of ever-changing customer requirements in their products and services. So, that's a complete new space wherein there are multiple opportunities which are available in the project management space also. Great, thank you. Then let's have a very quick brief look about the packages. Right. So these are some of the PMI numbers given there. So 25 million new project professionals will be required by 2030. So that's another like 5, 6 years. Right. And there are some salary ranges which are mentioned here: UK, Germany, France, Sweden, India. So if you see, there is a lot of demand in the Western countries, specifically for the certified project managers. So it goes like Australia, Singapore, uh, and then UK, US, Europe. These are the countries which demand the certified project managers. So they not almost, they give the 50% weightage to your experience and to your certification. So in fact, as Arshad mentioned, I am a approved trainer for Prince 2. And what I'm seeing is there is a very fast growing trend in entire UK and Europe market for the project management certifications, at least the foundation ones like CAPM or Prince 2 Foundation, or this Scrum Master is absolutely kind of must and basic certification requirement that has become. And even if you don't have the experience, these kind of certifications, they are opening you the door for these freshers and those who are doing their masters from somewhere outside India. These certifications, they are opening the door for these kind of candidates in the PMO roles. Correct. So now now it is becoming almost 50-50, 50% of your experience and 50% of your certification. That is how companies are looking at it. Then, according to the PMI report, 81% of PMP qualified individuals earn more than their non-certified peers. This is again a very fact, and not only for PMP. This statement is coming because this has been taken from some PMI report, but then this is true for any other project management certification also. Correct. So if you have experience, maybe even 2 years experience, 1 year experience, 5 years experience, and you are certified, definitely you will have an edge. You will have some more earning than your peers who are without certification. Then employment of project management specialist is projected to grow 6% from 2022 to 32, faster than average for all occupations. And some of the most popular spaces to find project management job includes United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia. Canada, I forgot to take the name of Canada. Canada demands a lot of project management professionals. Then countries like Netherlands, it also demands a lot of project management professionals. India, of course, India, there is a huge demand, and especially because India is one of the top outsourcing countries. So definitely there is ever-growing demand in the field of project management here also. Right? There are some statistical reasons given here, like 99% of every dollar, 9.9% of every dollar is wasted due to poor project performance. 32% of the budget is lost when a project fails to reach its goal. 39% of projects fail due to change in an organization's priorities. So there are some interesting statistical numbers also available, right? We'll actually be touching some of these points as we go ahead. There are some questions which we will discuss as we continue. But before that, as I was saying, there is a larger demand and larger earning potential for certified professionals. These are some of the key certifications like PMP and CAPM. So CAPM is a foundation level, PMP is like a little advanced. Both uh, are by the Project Management Institute. Then Prince 2 Edition 7 and Prince 2 Agile. These are the certifications by Axelos, PeopleCert. And then there are PMI ACP certification, then a risk management professional, then scheduling professional. Then there is another certification dedicated for management of risk, MOR. Correct. And then there is a Scrum Master, and then there are multiple certifications by SAFe, Scaled Agile. Correct. Uh, so for those who may not be aware about what is Scaled Agile, it is the scaled up version of your Agile. Right? Because Agile, by definition, by manifesto, Agile prefers smaller teams, whereas it becomes a little challenging if you want to implement Agile organization-wide. So from this background came the scaled Agile framework, which can be applied to the entire large organizations also. Right? And it works so fantastically. Uh, I was working as a program manager for a team of more than 180 people in a large financial organization. And that organization was completely safe driven. So they were driving all their projects, they were driving all their processes word to word as what safe says, and it was running fantastically smoothly. Right? So there are many safe certifications like product owner, uh, then product manager, and of course the Scrum Master and the team members are there, right? And then there is this new certification or a new skill which is very much in demand as we speak, and that is Agile project management. Now, if you see, this is a little bit of contradiction with Agile philosophy. Okay. Agile does not believe in management. Agile believes in collaboration, co-working, co-creation. Correct. So if you look at pure Agile or the basic original Scrum frameworks, there is no title called as a manager. It is a Scrum Master. It will be the product owner kind of things. But then now, because Agile is spreading, it is going and it is growing much beyond the IT world only or only the software world. There is need for managing. There is a need for management of these projects also. And this certification is coming up very prominently. If I remember correctly, even Google has got one of their certifications for Agile project management. Okay. And then there is this International Project Management Association, IPMA, which runs this level A, B, C, and D certifications in project management. So these are different levels, starting from the basic going to the advanced, and their advanced level is a qualification for project director in UK and European countries. And then there is a CompTIA for CompTIA Project Plus certification by CompTIA, right? And then there are these bodies like Scrum Alliance, APMG. Then there are some very good even degrees which are offered by some Indian universities, colleges, and some colleges from US, UK, European side as well, right? So in terms of the professional certification, there are multiple options available, and one can choose what fits the best to their environment. So for example, you are working either in US or working for the clients from US, then a CAPM or PMP or PMI, scheduling professional, risk management professional, ACPs. These could be the most suitable certifications for you. Correct. If you are working for any of the UK or European or Singapore-based clients, then they will most likely ask or rather push you to go for the Prince 2 certifications. Correct. If you are in IT, then obviously Scrum Master, as I said, is a very basic requirement. Right. So these are some of the key certifications, and as I said, uh, the organizations like Coursera or EDX for that matter, or there are many other universities and colleges, they also offer even up to the degree level courses in the project management. right? Uh, just to share with you, I am dual MBA. One of my specializations for MBA was banking, and the other specialization was project management. Right? So as I said, the universities are offering project management as a subject, even for the higher studies, master studies, or I know, uh, there are two of my mentors or seniors who have done the PhDs in the project management also. So uh, as we saw, the market wise, there is a lot of demand, and there is a lot of supporting education, whether be it the professional education or be it even the basic academic education. There are a lot of opportunities available there also. And as we went through the market overview, there is continuously growing demand in the field of the project management. Right? Okay, so before we go for any uh, of interview questions or towards the interview, any question here? Okay, so lead Smriti Das says lead service management. Yes, that's service manager is again another role. Service owner, service manager. In fact, very for a brief time, I was given the title of service orchestrator. So I used to design, define new services. Correct. So from the concept to go to market and implementation was kind of my spectrum of or the scope of my responsibilities. So yes, service management is one of the things. And then Praveen says, I'm in networking domain with 7 years experience in IT operations team, new to PM role. Fantastic, Praveen. So as I mentioned, there are project management roles which are technical, and there are project management roles which are or project manager roles which expect you to be very much functional. So in fact, something which is not there on the slide, but then there are these two roles. Okay? One is the tech PM, technology project manager, and the other one is the BAPM, business analyst come project manager. Right? Many a times what happens is, the business areas are so niche. Like say, for example, somebody who is working with a fintech company or a financial company, and they are working into the areas of, say, derivatives. Now, derivatives becomes such a focused, specific niche area. You will need a person who has got a very good working knowledge, functional knowledge there. And you will need a person, such a person to manage your projects as well. It cannot be really separated out. A general or a generic project manager role would not be a good one there. Correct. So yes, these again two roles, different roles, which are they are very prominent in the industry. Tech PM and BAPM also. All right. Uh, okay. So Abhishek, I'll come to those specific questions, like individual level questions. No, I'll come to those towards a little later part of our session. Right. Let's look at some of the interview questions, which are generic ones, and what are the expected responses. Okay. Right. So these are some of the tips how you should be answering. Okay. Let's say you get a question. Now you answer that question in a very summarized yes, no, precise kind of a response. Then ask the interviewer if they would like to go into details, because many a times what happens, the interviewers, uh, they just focus on the quickness of your responses. So they may not be going into the depth of your response. So it is better to ask them if they would like you to go into the details. If they say yes, then yes, please go and elaborate. And when you elaborate, then again, to close your response, you summarize it and maybe repeat your answer, very precise answer. That gives a closure to the answer of the question. Right? Now, for those who are freshers, and I don't consider fresher as somebody who is just coming out of the college, correct? But anybody with like 1 or 2 years experience, I would still consider that person as a fresher, because having a couple of years of experience, uh, you are still considerably away from those expertise. Correct? So for you, it is okay to use references to theories, concepts, and methods. So recently, I trained uh, almost 5 of the students who were sitting in UK, and they are rather doing their masters, MBAs or MS. Uh, and one or two of them, they had gone there directly after completing their college education here, and two three of them, they had experience of 4 to 7 years here in India, and then they are going there. Okay. Uh, so if you are a fresher, then you can bring some theories, some concepts, some methods to balance your what do you say, your little lesser experience in terms of the actual field experience. You can bring some theories. Okay. It is also okay to consider your internship project as example to respond to any specific questions. Correct. Uh, so you might have done internship somewhere, and then it is okay even if you consider that as a project and explain your role and how did it happen. So you can actually correlate the theories that you have learned and then your little or your internship projects there. Clarify what responsibilities you managed in your role. That will be of very much interest to the interviewer. Right? Because it may happen that yes, you were part of a large project, but then your responsibility was limited, restricted. So if you try to portray that, okay, as an intern, I played this kind of a very critical role, key role, and made decisions, and if you try to portray in that way, the interviewer may cross question you or may get into the details which you may not have the experience or expertise into, and then that could become a little awkward situation. So it's better to stick to your role, and it is absolutely fine. Even the interviewers understand that not everybody can play everything or do everything in the process. Right? Uh, so yes, you stick to your role, but you show that I have more knowledge with a little or that limited experience. That is absolutely fine for the freshers. But when it comes to the experienced folks, from you, what is expected is the examples of the projects that you worked in. Don't bring any specific client names or any confidential information of your employer or client, but that's absolutely okay. Don't bring it. We can very openly say that there are some aspects which I cannot share, but then this was the project and this is how my role was, this is what I did, and this is what I have the understanding of the larger picture of the project. Right? So for experienced people, it is always better to bring more examples, more experience, more expertise, and less of the theory. Right? So this is how the responses will be expected, from you when you go and attend the interview. Right? Right. Uh, any question here specific to how should you respond in general? Otherwise, I think let's go for there are some questions, and I have made it a categories, and I have put some common questions, and then we will discuss this. Now, in each of the category, while we are discussing these questions and the ideal responses for it, uh, you know, you can stop me or you can ask me any questions if you. Okay. Sorry, guys, just give me a second. Huh? Just give me a second.
Hello, sir. Mahesh, sir. You are on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I put it myself on. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Right. Okay. So let's look at some of the icebreaker questions. Okay. They will ask you to introduce yourself. So when you are asked to introduce yourself, uh, please bring your total experience and your project management related experience specifically. And this is again very well possible that you may have something additional than your project management experience. So maybe earlier 5 years, earlier 7 years, 10 years, you might have spent into some different industry, different role. Now you're moving to this industry with the role of a project manager. So it is absolutely fine. You please clarify this with the interview. That helps to set the expectations, set the tones. Correct. There are two very important things when you say that you have some experience or you are aspiring to get into the project manager role and you have the experience like a project lead. Uh, Correct. And those two things are team size and project revenue. Correct. How much team size you manage and how much project revenue you manage. It could be 5 people team, it could be 2 people team, it could be 200 people team. Anything is fine. Correct. You'll have to give these examples and how much revenue of the project that you manage. Now, again, it could be a large project and you could have been a project lead there. So you can mention both the numbers that as in the capacity of a project lead, or rather I managed XYZ or this much of revenue, whereas my total project revenue was something like this. Similarly, for the team size, like I had 10 members directly reporting to me, but my project team size was of say 125. Now, this is also required to set the context, to set the tone, to set the expectations with the interview. Right? Then it will be very helpful if if you talk about your geographical experience. Like if you ask me, I spent majority of my career with US based clients, then UK based clients, then it was what do you say, the Singapore or the east side of the world. That is how majority of my experience I can group it. Right? Now this helps to set the tone. Right? You may be getting interviewed for a position, a remote position with a Dubai-based company, and now if you tell them that okay, you have the experience, earlier experience for any company which has got the offices or the projects from Dubai area or the Middle East area, that will be a plus point for you. Right? So set these or set this expectation, set this context with your interview. Right? The interviewer may even ask you about what was the organization structure. This will be helpful for them to understand your position exactly, at what level you were there, and in how many different or in how complex organizational structure you have worked into. Now, this has got a direct relationship with the stakeholder management. Your experience with working in a more complex kind of organizations and dealing and interacting with multiple stakeholders, senior stakeholders, junior stakeholders, internal, external. If you have that kind of a variety of the experience, that will definitely be a plus point. But then, the interviewer, either they may ask you or in some way you can bring it out specifically. Right? Uh, there are now organizations who have completely moved into agile. So of course that will be mentioned in the what do you say, the job description also. But then your interviewer may also ask about how much exposure do you have to agile, or how much exposure do you have about working in the hybrid environments. So you may want to bring that up as well, right? Then which tools have you used? Right? Uh, Sorry, can you go on mute, please? Hello. Yeah. Priya, I think, can you go on mute, please? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Uh, then you have to bring up any experience of the cost management that you may have. Now, what happens is, based on the organizational size, structure, scope, complexity, their policies, their processes, many organizations at the project manager level, okay, or I'm assuming that you are going there for the project manager level. Uh, the cost management may not be the part of the project manager's responsibilities. It may be coming from their corporate side or from their portfolio or program side. So it may not be directly the part of that. But otherwise, in contrast to this, there are organizations under which the project manager will manage the cost. Now, when we talk about the cost management, it is not only about uh, the cost of the revenue of the human resources, but it will include all the non-human resources cost management also. Correct? Many organizations, at least that I have seen, I have worked for, or I have worked into, uh, the cost management in most of the cases used to come from the program management or the delivery unit management. Correct. But then there were some projects where in which I have literally managed the cost of IT assets, the table, chairs, and the wires and the laptops also. It makes a huge difference when you have that as part of your profile and when you don't have that as a part of profile. If you don't have it, then that calls for a little learning curve if it is required by the organization. So it will be really helpful for you, for the interviewer, both of you, to set the context for in this area as well. So this was all about your self information, right? The icebreakers, only the icebreakers, right? Now, just before we proceed, let me set your expectation that a typical interview for a project manager, and of course, it will have multiple levels. But what I'm considering is a level wherein you will be evaluated for your core strengths and weaknesses that can go anywhere between 1 hour to 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It can be that long discussion. Correct. So this was just the icebreaker that I spoke about. Now, in the slides as we go ahead, there are questions, and there are certain questions which are underlined. Right? So I'll be specifically talking about those questions. If you have anything around that, or if you want any other question to be discussed, please mention in the chat box and we will take that towards the end of the session. Right? So there are questions, and I'll share some guidelines, some do's and don'ts and tips and tricks about how to answer those questions. Right? It will be really great if you can bring up any of your recent experiences as interviewer or as interviewee around any of these questions or anything else also. Right? So again, once again, the request is let's make it interactive now. Whatever the theory part was there, it's over now. So let's make it a little more discussion type of it. Okay. Right. So define what is a successful project for you. How will you answer this? What is a successful project for you? How would you see that my project was a successful? Any thoughts, any ideas? You can put it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and we can talk. The question is, define what is a successful project for you. How will you measure the success of a project? If I give you a scenario, let's say you were able to deliver your project with the highest quality. The quality of the delivery that you made was fantastic, but you overrun the costs and you actually were delayed. You were delayed by almost a month or so. Now, if I ask you whether your project was a success or not, what will you think? What do you think? Okay, so Sushant says the project was not successful because delivery on or before time is important, right? Okay. Smriti, you raised your hand. Yes. Pramod says delivery of the project with quality under timeline and budget. So basically, we are talking about balancing the triangle of time, cost, quality, right? Okay, Smriti says if it meets the initial agenda set, then it is a successful. But no, in the situation that I said, you were delayed and you had some cost overruns also. Then it didn't meet the initial agenda. So as per that, Smriti, you will say the project was not successful. Yes, time, cost, and quality is essential. Yes, Mary. Thank you. So this is a little tricky answer. Okay, or rather tricky question. Okay. What is a successful project for you? Now, let's say uh, this project was for life critical area. Like say maybe something in the healthcare, maybe something in the pharmaceutical, maybe something in the armed forces. Then the quality will be very highly uh, monitored or critical parameter. Correct. But then in some businesses, let's say like IT, wherein there is a huge competition. Correct. In that case, your cost or keeping the cost under control will be a very highly critical factor there. Correct. So first of all, you'll have to keep in mind which sector, uh, which domain, which area you're talking about. Correct. So what is between time, cost, and quality? What is more important for that sector? Correct. Keep that thing in mind. Second thing is uh, your project will not be sorry, your project will not be sitting on the extreme. Like you cannot call your project as a complete failure or as a complete success. Correct. It will be somewhere in between. So how much successful your project is the right answer. So we were 80%, we were able to deliver on time. We were able to manage it within say 90% of the cost given. So that kind of a percentage or how much will be a good answer here. Correct. With that, you will not be saying that we were 100% successful. Neither you are saying that we failed. Right? You are balancing in between by saying how much successful we were. Right? So define what is a successful project for you. So anything that is say 90% into the cost tolerances or 95% into the time tolerances will be a success for me. Or this is how, if you can bring up any real life example, that will be fantastic. But that depends on your years of experience and expertise. But then don't put it any extreme answer. Put it uh, as in how much of it. Okay. Then there may be a question. What do you see as differences between project manager and scrum master? Okay, so okay, Anup, delivery delay. Yeah, I think I answered that. In between, we might have discussion and scopes and risks were discussed in with customer at following the agile method. Okay. Successful project is a project which is delivered on time as per the schedule within the planned cost with agreed quality with the customer and takes care of delivering all the functional and non-functional. Now this becomes a very theoretic definition and real life so on is very different than the theory. In academics, yes, you can say that all those things very well balanced. In real life, it will never be. If it would have been a case, then probably project managers are not needed. Right? So project manager is going to do this act of balancing. Right? So bring that real life flavor into your answers. So we are on this question. What do you see as a difference between a project manager and Scrum Master? What is the difference between a project manager and a Scrum Master? How will you explain this? Any thoughts? Please unmute yourself or type it in the chat box. I think you can unmute yourself. That's fine. Project manager is a liaison between stakeholders and dev team or tech team. Okay. And what about Scrum Master? Scrum Master could be the technical lead. Okay. So or dev team member. Okay. What is the difference between the project manager and the Scrum Master? So project manager is responsible for the project execution. Okay. And then the Scrum Master. A Scrum Master serves as a servant leader to ensure the success of Scrum team and customer satisfaction. Okay. Fantastic. So see, project manager or a Scrum Master, while there is a good amount of overlap between their responsibilities, their perspectives are different. Correct? The project manager is more of a task master, whereas a Scrum Master is somebody, as rightly said by Abhishek, it is Abhishek, it is a servant leader. Okay? But to ensure that the project is getting is progressing within the tolerances, to ensure that any challenges are either reduced or eliminated or escalated to the right level within the right time. Um, Ensuring the quality of the product, delegating the work. There are many areas within the project management which overlap between a project manager and a Scrum Master. Though there is a difference between how they view the project. Scrum Master is a servant leadership. This role is more of a facilitator for all the team members, other for all the stakeholders, not only the team members. Whereas the project manager is more of a task master. The project manager will give a will give a day-to-day execution and assure that yes, it is progressing in the right direction. Okay? Right. How to differentiate a project manager in terms of implementation of a project versus service manager? Please share similarities. Okay. See, essentially, service creation itself can be considered as a project. Now, there are two different, what do you say, periods here. One is the design and the development of the service. And the second is actually service execution or implementing, continuing the service. Till the time the service is getting designed, developed, and it comes live, it gets rolled out, it is still a project. Once it is rolled out, it becomes a BAU, wherein you don't need a project manager. Then it can be the service manager who can take care of it. Right? But till that time, it can still be considered as a project. Because by definitions of Prince2 ITIL majorly, your service is a combination or could be a combination of a product and some service, actually intangible service actually. So that when you are designing that, it can still be considered as a project. Right. This last one is, I think it's very interesting. What is the single most important reason for failure of a project in your experience and in your opinion? What is that single reason, most important thing? There could be many reasons because of which the project may fail. But what is that one single reason because of which the project will fail? And because of that reason, the project will fail for sure. Wrong scheduling. Okay. Any other reason? Transparent communication. So challenges in the communication also may lead to the project failure. Very right. Any other reason? Say, how about cost? Task allocation. If you do the wrong task allocation, if you allocate the certain task to the wrong person, yes, you are bound to fail. Correct. Lack of on time and appropriate communication. Cost overruns, yes, could be the reason for a project failure. But what is that one reason which everybody will agree? Wrong estimation, yes. But what is that one reason which everybody will agree that yes, if this happens, the project will fail for sure. Scope change. I can still manage the scope change, right? I can go back to the client, I can reduce the scope, or I can add people, I can add timelines. So scope change also can be managed. Wrong technical estimation or wrong estimation, still the project can be brought back to green from the red. Requirements, yes, scope creep, still the project can be brought back to the green. What is it that one thing which if happens, you cannot bring it back? Okay, I'll tell you that reason. If you agree, say agree in the chat box. If you don't agree, you say disagree. Okay. That one reason is inexperienced, uh, non-expertise project management, project manager. Somebody who is not experienced, somebody does not have the expertise in that area, you put that person as a project manager and your project is for sure to fail. Rest, anything you can bring it back. Rest, anything you can identify as a risk or deal it as an issue. But this one, you cannot do. Right? So remember, when you are the project manager and when you are aspiring to be the project manager, you are getting into such a critical role where the entire success will depend on you. Thank you. So this kind of icebreaker questions will happen, and then there are different areas in the project management. Let's go ahead one by one. So about the stakeholders, how do you keep your team motivated? See, replacing the project manager, yes, that will always happen in the real life. That's not even to be questioned, or there are no second thoughts. Correct. But the damage will be there permanent. Right. Sorry. So let's go to the next question. How do you keep your team motivated? How many of you manage teams? Maybe two member, 5 member, 10 member, more than 50. Just say yes. And when I ask you manage the teams, it is daily work of your team, monitoring that, delegating that work, allocating it to them. Okay, Sushant says yes. RB says yes. Anyone else who manages the teams? Small team, large team, maybe partially for their work. Okay, so how will you keep your team motivated? If let's say if you have a 10 people team meeting to discuss how the progress, any impediments, anything they can share. Okay. By giving appreciation. Okay. Celebrating the success. Okay. Pathiravan says yes, manages the team. Okay, great. So celebrating the success. Yes, you will celebrate the success. You'll be giving the appreciation. Yes, that is also very much important. Any other things? Regular team health checks to get to know the pulse of the team and plan remediation action like team bonding, learning opportunities, rotations, appreciations, fantastic communicating, backing them up, suggestions to improve feedback, etc. Right? Now, see, all these are very valid points. No question about it. Uh, Appreciation also is through regular one-on-one. Yes, appreciation is also one of it. Yes, discussing success plans, giving the roadmap, clarity. Yes, small team by proper engagement with team, delegation, appreciating, right? Understanding the team members' goals and inspiration. See, what is important here in this particular aspect is, and that doesn't mean that the other things which you have said are not important. They are equally important, but then focus on 2 points. One is uh, knowing your team members very closely. What are their preferences? What are their strengths, weaknesses, and possibly their personal backgrounds and interest also. Not only knowing them, but uh, making it visible, making it open that yes, you understand the person, and celebrating with them or giving them the direction. Those all things will follow. Right? That's one thing. Second thing is appreciation uh, should not be restricted only during the feedback sessions. Say your team member comes up with a small Excel sheet, but that reduces a lot of efforts that brings things at one center. You please ensure that you are appreciating the person and you are making it visible also within your team and with the other closely related teams. Correct? There is a thing in ITIL which calls it as visibility. So increase the visibility of these team members. That will actually create a long lasting impression for them. See, you appreciating them as a manager in your one-on-one or during the yearly appraisal, half yearly appraisal, that is one thing. That is uh, more of a formal. It is for you as a manager, it is more of a required thing to do to keep your team motivated. But when you know them in person and uh, when you are open to show that, yes, I know you, I know your aspirations, I know your skills, I know your strengths, I know your weaknesses. When you're open to showcase this, that makes a very different impression. And uh, you know, giving them the visibility required, that is going to make a very long lasting impression in their mind. So please remember to give them the visibility that is required. Right? But otherwise, all these points, whatever you have said, they are very valid. Right. Then there is a very common question, and I am hearing many of my network people, my friends, they tell me that either we ask this question or somebody says, okay, I have been asked this question. How will you communicate bad news to your team? So let's say there is a bad news. Now, what could be the bad news? That a client is uh, ramping down the project and this team member needs to be released from the project, or there are not going to be much good what do you say increments this year, or this person whose name was uh, given for the promotion, but because of some reasons it didn't happen. So that's bad news for the team member. So how are you going to share this bad news with the team member? What are your thoughts? How will you communicate news saying that your promotion did not come through? Then what? How will you say this? How will you convey this to the team? Yes, RB, later on, Harshad will coordinate for that. So right now the question is, how will you communicate or how will you convey a bad news to your team member? Any thoughts? Okay, so we'll see about the present company situation. Okay, what else? And the person will say, that's okay, company situation is so and so, but I have worked so hard and my feedback is good and etc. etc. Why my promotion has been declined? Because there were already certain norms which were set for the promotion. Okay, Abhishek says first acknowledge the contributions and good work of team member and then come to business justification and then give the consequences of business situation. Okay. Oh, EBITDA and revenue performances. Your team member, do you think uh, a team member with 1 or 2 years or 3 years of experience is going to understand all that? Share the news. Of course, it's not good for the team member, but share how the member can achieve his goals, which will help him to achieve that in the next cycle. Okay. Then promise that she will be considered at highest priority in case if there is. Okay. Follow a very simple rule if you want to convey the bad news. Say it openly, transparently, plainly, factfully. No beating around the bush. You know, no uh, no trying to explain them how the company did not perform and this because there will be other members who will be promoted, who will be given the raise. There will be seniors, there will be juniors. This is the information age. Everybody has the information available with them. So be transparent and don't beat around the bush. Say it, your case was presented, it did not go through. Now let's sit and do the root cause. Right? While you are in the root cause or after finishing that, when you actually take the person to plan the next action, there you tell them what can be done differently for the next cycle, and then how can your case be taken on the priority basis. At one point of time, I had 30 members team, all seniors, all more than 10 to 12 years of experience, and they were directly reporting into me. So I have experienced this fundamental. Keep it simple, keep it open, keep it straightforward. No beating around the bush. It doesn't help. It never helps. There will be a lot of counter questions that you will get it. Say it plainly, this time didn't happen. Next time, or whatever the bad news is, you are getting released. This time the client has said this. We'll see, and then plan for the next. Don't forget for planning for the next action. Don't miss that part. Just don't leave it by telling the person the bad news. See how this bad can be converted into the good in the next cycle. Okay, that is very important. Okay? So share it very plain, open, and discuss more, focus more on how this can be converted into the good part of it. Correct? Sometimes this doesn't work. Many a times, many a times, I would say this works. Sometimes it doesn't work, and then you may have to, deal with it very separately. What if the person is getting released from the organization? Most of the cases, when and if the person is getting released from the organization, as a project manager, you will not be breaking that rule. It will be taken up by HR people who are very well trained, and they are made ready. So HR trainings, they deal in this kind of uh, aspects. So it will be done by HR. Most of the times it won't come to you. And if you are an HR person, if you are the project manager from the HR, and if you have to, someone let go, then also the fundamental rule remains the same. Break the news. Don't beat around the bush. Right? All your empathy, all your team working, all those factors will come later, not before you break the news. Break the news, go ahead. Plan next, support them externally if you want. I have seen people getting released by HR. No worries. I manage, or I at least tried to help them externally, whatever in my best capacity. But then that news is that news, and that news has to be broken. If it is a bad news, bad news. That's it. Right. So I think let's cover the underlying questions which are identified as the important ones, and then if you want, we can come back to any of these areas. Okay. So now in under plan and execute, what is PBS, PFD, and WBS? Any idea? PBS, PFD, and WBS. Just going to write it here. What is PBS, PFD, and WBS? Any idea? WBS, work breakdown structure. Yes. PBS. CFD, project breakdown structure, project baseline. Okay. So it is product breakdown structure. It is product flow diagram, and it is work breakdown structure. Okay. Product breakdown structure. It is the breakdown structure of your product. What is the product that you are making, and how that product is made up? Say, for example, if you just talk about this simple pen, writing pen, then this is made up of this outer plastic body. Then there is the refill inside, and then there is what you say the ink inside. Then there is this mechanism, and then there is this holder. These are the breakdowns of your product. If you consider a car, then your doors, your floor, your tires, your engine, your roof, the window glasses, the steering wheel, the gearbox, all are your parts of the products. So that is your product breakdown structure. Correct. Then the second is product flow diagram. I'll explain you how these are related. The second is product flow diagram. How your product can be created. In case of car, if I give you roof and if I give you doors without giving you the floor, without giving you the seats, will it help? No, right? That roof and those doors and those tires, everything will just sit in my inventory. I cannot assemble a car unless I give you or you unless there is a floor. Correct. So as we know data flow diagrams, as we know functional flow diagrams, so there is something, or at a generic level, it is called as a product flow diagram. How my product can be created. So from product breakdown structure, you create product flow diagram, and then you define your activities according to your product flow diagram. If I want to construct a house, I cannot put the roof first. So my product flow diagram is first clean the site, then foundations, then the ground floor, then the first floor, then maybe the roof. That is my flow diagram, how it is going to flow. And then accordingly, I will have to define the activities. And the definition of activities is nothing but work breakdown structure. And then on top of that work breakdown structure, you allocate the resources, you define the schedule, the start and the end date, you define the duration, you define the work or efforts, hours, days, correct? And that will give you your project plan. So remember this relationship: product breakdown structure, product flow diagram, work breakdown structure, and based on that work breakdown structure, you create your project plan. Now, why is this important from the interview aspect is this shows how many real work breakdown structures you have created. Correct? And because see what happens is whatever the WBS you create, you are going to track that WBS, you are going to monitor it, you are going to record the actuals against it, and you are going to report against it. So your WBS becomes the foundation. But even before WBS, there is PFD, and before PFD, there is PBS. Hence, understanding the relation of these three is very critical. Right. Then when will you prefer fast tracking and when you select crashing? Fast tracking and crashing. Any idea what these two things are? Any idea what these two things are? Fast tracking and crashing? No? Okay, I'll give you a hint. These are the terminologies related to your project planning. Okay, crashing when there is less time budget. But then, okay, what you do if there is a less time or budget, what you do there? Okay, I'm sorry, in the interest of time, eliminate the row priority delays. Okay, changing the project schedule so that certain tasks overlap and are done concurrently rather than sequentially. Okay, I think this is. Okay. I hope this is not copy pasted from anywhere. So fast tracking is running some activities parallel. They can overlap. Correct. So while I'm constructing my second floor or first floor, I can do the interiors of the ground floor. So those two can run in parallel, fast tracking. And crashing is you add more resources. Right? Yes, adding more resources to complete the task on time. But then again, remember, for fast tracking, uh, there will always be the constraint of dependency. The tasks will depend on each other and not all tasks can be run in parallel. So you'll have to be very careful about that when you're fast tracking. And in terms of crashing, uh, it is not going to happen that you add 10 resources and the task will be delivered in 2 days. It cannot happen that way. You can add some resources and you can increase the speed. That is okay. But if you add 10 resources, that doesn't mean the task will get over within 2 days. If it is going to take 4 days, it is going to 4 days. Okay. Then, okay, what is the relationship between duration, work, and units or resources? There is the equation for this. Any idea? Anyone? Duration, work, and resources. What is the equation between these three? This is something we had learned in our 7th standard. Yes, in fast tracking and crashing, we have to be very mindful about the dependencies, right? So on, so on. So the next question is what is the relationship between duration, work, and resources? Okay, so you are saying units, that is resources is equal to, okay, work is equal to duration into resources. Correct. So most commonly it is written as D is equal to W by R. You can write it in any format, that's okay. But yes, this is the relationship. Now, why it is important to understand this relationship is your project is going to be of any one of the nature. Like it could be fixed duration, it could be fixed resources, or it could be fixed work. Now, accordingly, if you change one of these parameters, and if one is fixed, then the next needs to be adjusted. Okay. Uh, yes. So the next needs to be adjusted. Correct. And this is again the fundamental of managing your project plan. Any of your project management tool software, like be it project professional, or be it Asana, be it Jira, anything, any project management tool will honor this equation, will follow this equation. Correct. So this is one of the basics. Like as I said, WBS is one of the basic foundational thing. This equation is one of the foundational things for your project planning and execution. So I'll go to the next one. What is your approach towards frequent changes in scope, budget, resources on project? So the question is frequent changes in scope or budget or resources. What is your approach? What is your approach? Yeah, sorry. Any thoughts? What will you do? How will you manage the frequent changes in scope, budget, resources? In this case, we can use Scrum Agile. Okay, if it is possible to use Scrum Agile, great. Sprint, yes. To run the project in Kanban. But Kanban will help you only to visualize the actual progress. How will it? It may not help you to manage the changes. We will inform the stakeholders about the delays because of scope creep. Okay. Okay, that is one thing. You will inform the stakeholders. What else? What will you do? Highlight the PMO. Okay, so it could be PMO or it could be your um, program management, or it could be your client. So basically what you're saying is you will highlight this to the senior authorities or the decision makers. Correct? What else will you do? Because see, to whoever you highlight it, they are going to ask you, so what? If there are frequent changes, then as a project manager, you give us the options. Then what will happen? Okay, so it will call for a CR. Okay, take a prioritized task, eliminate them as per sprint delivery. Okay, so again, you are suggesting following agile. Okay, that is fine. Okay, the expected answer here will be something like this. The first thing is you will do the impact analysis. Okay, and come up with options to resolve. See, there are frequent changes happening. They are happening in scope, budget, or resources. Correct. So there must be something which is going wrong. Either there is no clarity in the vision of the project, or there is no clarity in the design, or there is no stability in terms of the resources. Correct. Or there is no uh, what you say, there is, so basically there is some unclarity there. So the first is doing the impact analysis, how it is impacting our project, what is the impact, and then come up with the options to resolve it. If there are changes happening in the what do you say, resources area, or if it is happening in the cost area, how you will be able to resolve it. That is the second thing to do. Third technique that will help you is prioritization. As here you said rightly, prioritize. What is important to you? It is keeping cost stable, is keeping resources stable, is keeping requirements stable. What is important to you? You prioritize. Correct? Then the third thing or the next thing will be accommodate. So the project team may have to accommodate certain changes. There will be no other option available. There will be no option available to eliminate or even to reduce it. You will have to accommodate. This could be for a very specific period of time, like for these 2 sprints or for next 2 months. It will be for a very specific period of time for that specific delivery. In the next delivery, you will have to immediately implement the improvement actions. But for this delivery, the team will have to accommodate. And it is very important as a project manager to sensitize the team about this. Correct? The team cannot say that yes, because we are following agile, will not do this or we will do this. No, the team cannot do that. So the last thing will be for the team to accommodate, but only after you have followed first 3 steps. And while you are following these first 3 steps, yes, you please involve what do you say? You involve the stakeholders, you prioritize, you get there, you do the risk assessment. Fine. As part of your impact analysis, you do the risk assessment also. All well, fine, do that. But at the end of it, please remember your team should be able to accommodate you. And that is where it links back to the question of how will you keep your team motivated? See, because in real life, the things are not always going to be smoother. You'll have to keep your team motivated to accommodate, to adjust, to absorb certain these kind of situations. Correct? Now, if this is the question in your interview, you will have to bring all these points and especially this accommodation point also. In which case, the interviewer may ask you, how will you make team adjust with that? And then all your communication, all your leading from the front, all your being transparent, those points will come into picture. Correct? Right. Then what are the different responses to risk? Now, if you know, risk has got 2 parts. One is threat and second one is opportunity. So if it is a threat, what will be your response? If it is an opportunity, what will be your response? So the interviewer may ask you that your project has identified 5, 6 critical risks. How are you going to respond to those risks? Risk acceptance, mitigation, transfer, yes, avoid, mitigate. So there are certain standard responses to it, like avoid, share, transfer, accept, correct? Exploit. So there are standard responses to the risk, and you should be aware about that based on the risk management framework. Correct? Okay, good. I can see people are aware about this. Good, thank you. Then the next could be what is the need for change authority, change control board, or change manager. These are the different roles. Change authority board, change control manager. These are different roles. They will uh, accept or reject or defer any changes. So why these roles are required? Why can't a project manager play this role? So just to inform you, project manager cannot be the change authority. Project manager cannot be the change manager. There must be a separate person playing this role or separate team playing this role. Right? Why is that? Accountability. Accountability of what? They cannot be biased. Correct. Segregation of duties. Correct. See, if a project manager plays the role of a change manager, then there could be conflict of interest. As a project manager, I may want to accept the changes all the time, or I may want to reject the changes all the time. That depends on how my project is progressing. And then this will influence the decisions. So to avoid this kind of conflict of interests, the change manager, the change authority, or the change control board, these are kept separately. The ownership of the project will still be with with the decision makers, not even with the project manager. So the person should know all the customer's requirement, and for each change, triple constraint needs to be evaluated. Yes, that can be done even by the project manager. But then that will be the conflict of interest. The decisions made could be biased, and hence there needs an unbiased view from a third person like maker and checker. So there is a separate need of one of these roles. Okay. Then the next question from the quality could be, as a project manager, what is important for you? Quality assurance or quality control? I hope everybody knows the difference between quality and assurance and quality control. So what is important? QA or QC? Assume you are the project manager. What will be important for you? If you understand the difference between quality assurance and quality control, just type yes. Okay, Smita says QC. QC is important for you, Smita. Okay. Sushant says assurance. Correct. And I'm happy that there are two different opinions here because the answer is both are equally important. Okay, both are equally important. Both are the two sides of the same coin of quality. You cannot really see that quality assurance is more important for me or quality control is more important for me. Quality assurance is preparing for the quality. The product that I will deliver will be of highest quality. I am assuring you that. That is quality assurance. Quality control is saying that we have delivered the product with the required quality. Both the things are equally important for the product to succeed, for the project to be successful. So it is these two are the two sides of the same coin. And for a project manager, both should be equally important. Project manager should be watchful, careful that there are enough number of activities planned in your project for QA as well as QC. You just cannot say that, we will test when the product is ready. No, there will be very high cost and delays will incur. You cannot say that, okay, I will make so best design that I don't have to test the product. No, just having the best design on the paper does not guarantee you that the product will be of the same quality. So you need QA and QC both. So quality assurance is telling before the product is ready, telling that this is how I will make the product and it will be of so and so quality. But before the product is created, that is quality assurance. Okay. So what is the acha? Now this is a different question. Now please read it very carefully. What is the difference between project assurance and quality assurance? This is also many times becomes a confusing point. Project assurance and quality assurance. Any idea? Any thoughts? So the project assurance is all about project. How my project is performing. Am I within the time? Am I within the cost? Am I delivering the entire scope? How is my quality? Right? No, project assurance is not acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria will always be defined for the product. Whereas project assurance is all about the product. Project. How is my project performing? Am I managing the risk better? Am I dealing with the issues positively? Am I communicating with all the stakeholders the required information? How the how my project is progressing? Is it progressing as per the plan? So time, cost, quality, benefits, scope, risk, stakeholder communication, all the areas of the project performance will be part of project assurance. Whereas quality assurance is all about the product. Quality assurance is all about the product. No, project scorecard is something different. Project scorecard will tell me how is my project performing. So through project scorecard, I will get the information about my project performance. So project scorecard is one of the methods used in project assurance. Okay? So quality assurance is all about the product. How will my product be? When it is developed, when it is created, is it going to meet all the requirements? Is it going to meet all the acceptance criteria? That will be my quality assurance. Okay. Very closely, the terms, they look very closely related, but they are different. Then comes the last part, project closure. So in line with formal closure processes, what will you ensure during closing the project? What are you going to ensure when you're closing the project? What should happen? Retro meeting, okay. What else? Project harvest report, okay. Then lessons learned, okay. Okay. Please do not forget the most important thing. Acceptance of product. If you do rest all, and if your product is not accepted, your project is not closed. The first thing in the project closure is acceptance of your product. Then your knowledge management, lessons learned, retro, performance, etc., all will financials, all will come later. First, the user, the client, the customer should accept your product. Right? Then for any post-project benefits, whom will you select as a benefits reviewer? So there will be some benefits after the project closure also. So in that case, who will be your person who will review the benefits? Because your project team will be disbursed by them. Correct? Then who will be the person who will review it? Who will review it? How many benefits are realized? So in example, when your project to launch a new insurance policy is over, the policy is in the market now. So your project team is gone. Then who will ensure the benefits are realized? Operations manager. Okay, that could be one. Who else? Operations manager is one. Who else? Account manager. Okay. But account manager, see, account manager depends. If you have a ongoing relationship with the customer, then it could be the account manager. But if it is a one of a kind projects, then the account manager also will get disbursed. Consumer and customer, yes, that is one of the very key stakeholder there. No, state process documents for the product to be created is correct, but then who will ensure that the benefits are measured? End users, correct. So it could be the end users, it could be your customer, it could be your operations manager, it could be your support manager, it could be even your program management team or your corporate team also. It all depends on what situation is, what project is. Right? So it could be your end user, it could be your customer, it could be your program management team, it could be your operations manager, it could be your support manager, anybody can. Right? So they will ensure sponsor, yes, in case sometimes sponsor, if it is coming under the program, then it could be the program sponsors also or portfolio sponsors also. So those people, you will select one of them as the benefits reviewer, and they will be the stakeholders of your project. Okay. Now, you take over a project which went on hold 2 years back. So there was a project which went on hold for before 2 years. Now the project is revised, correct? Reopened. Now, what will you expect as a new project manager from earlier project? You got a question? You are going to be the project manager of a project which was closed 2 years back. Now, what do you expect when that project is reopening and you are the project manager now? What are you expecting from that earlier project? What should be there? All the documentation, correct? Yes. Then understanding the new requirements. Okay, the requirements could be the same or changed. So understanding of the requirements, yes. Project artifacts, that is the documentation. Yes, how the project was closed earlier. So the documentation of that also. Okay, review the existing document, connect with previous team if they exist, identify the reasons for put that project on hold, correct? Handover of discussion done, correct. Now, what else? New scope of work, so new requirements, correct. Where is the earlier created product? Where is that half-cooked product? You should get your hands on that product first, isn't it? That product could be anything. That your product could be a pen. That product could be a mobile phone. That product could be, SaaS-based platform. But where is that product? So that half or partially done product should be available with you. All these points are valid, very valid. Key expectations from sponsors, then new scope of work, gap analysis, re-estimation, all are valid, but this all is based on what? That half-baked product. Without that, none of this documentation is going to help. right? Good. Yes, and the final one. Who is a leader? Whom will you call a leader? This is more of a open-ended question, so your answer can vary. So who is a leader? What do you think? Someone who leads to bring order to chaos. Okay. Who can motivate the team, lead from front. Okay. See, there is no single answer to this question. There is no right or wrong answer to this question. This is more to understand your thinking process. Right? Somebody who says it's a teamwork, maybe a people person. Somebody who says, order to chaos, the person is more of a task oriented one. That is what the interviewer is going to interpret. Simple. There is no right or wrong or correct answer to this. There's no single answer to this. This is how your interviewer is going to interpret you. Right? Thank you. Thank you. Now, the stage is open for your questions. Either unmute or type it in the chat box. We still have 3-4 minutes. Please bring up your questions. Is there any paid interview sessions or mock interview sessions? Fantastic. Harshad, this is a good suggestion actually. What questions can come around cost or budget? As I said, that depends how much costing and budgeting is given to the project manager. Maybe there could be some questions around earn value analysis, cash inflows. There could be some questions about how do you manage your reserve budgets for risk and cost. All different questions can be there. One question I missed the first half of the session. Okay, that recording, Harshad will take care of it. Okay, a question regarding which certification I should opt for, CAPM or PMI. Most likely, Abhishek, this depends on what customers you are working for. If you are working for US, then go for this PMI based certifications, and now you have 10 years of experience. Then, as a software test engineer and Scrum Master as a 2 years, I will still say go for PMP. I'll still say go for PMP. Okay, and you fit into the PMP criteria. That is okay. You go for PMP. Okay, Abhishek. What are the key inputs to be considered while coming up with a new proposal for a new client? How will that benefit client? It's a simple rule. It's a simple rule. Imagine yourself going to buy a car and a car person is telling you all the good things about the car company. You are least interested. You are interested in how that car is going to help you. So your client is interested in understanding how your solution will help them. Simple equation. Okay. So, I think I answered your question. Cost benefit analysis. Yes, this will be your first step in your project management. Cost base. So against what cost, what benefits you're going to get. Now, this may have different views. One view will be of your client, one will be of your yourself. So there will be cost benefit analysis. Everybody will do their own cost benefit analysis. If the business sponsor come up with an issue, but not sure about the value generation from the project, even with multiple sessions with the sponsor and key stakeholders, how as a project manager we will manage this project? Okay, I am not sure if I understand the question correctly. It says the sponsor has come up with an issue, but not sure about the value generation from the project. Okay, so first of all, you will have to decide whether whatever you are defining as a project is it going to give some benefits to the stakeholders, to all the stakeholders. If you are not able to decide that, then there is still some time to go ahead in the project. Okay. So wait for it. First of all, answer this. Because without that target in mind, without that value in mind, you really cannot decide a project. You don't know where to go. So suppose if I don't know where to go, then it doesn't make sense for me to go to the Mumbai airport. Correct? Okay, I think over to you, Harshad. Thank you everyone for good
Yes,
participation, making it
I
interactive.
think
Thanks so much.
yes, sir, we have covered enough questions. So thank you for joining this webinar, and thank you, my sir, for guiding this interview questions and answers. So I hope you all enjoy this webinar, educational, enjoyable, and you guys feeling awesome today because the sir has given more guidance regarding the project management interview preparation webinar. So if you have any queries, if you have any questions, feel free to connect with us. Our learning advisor will connect with you. Uh, s- okay, and so that's it for today's, and we are ending this session. So thank you so much for joining again, and good night. Good night, all of you. Thank you. Thank you for joining this. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.